So this morning is going very smoothly so far. I daresn't jinx it because we now, as I promised, have our panel session. And this is Tailored, Efficient, Green and Digital, Aligning Airport Experiences with Future Passenger Values. So if you could please put your hands together as we welcome our four panelists we have this morning. We have Bettina Ganghofer, CEO of Salzburg Airport. Welcome, Bettina. We have Meiltje de Groot, CEO of Groningen Airport. We can clap. Mann, Executive Director, Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. And once again, please welcome back to the stage Mr. Mazen Johar, the CEO of Jeddah Airports. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Hello. Nice to see you.
Hi.
Again, Jane.
Hello again.
Good to see you again.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Bettina.
Lovely to see you. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, the ladies on the end, we were due to meet, I think, in person last year, and we didn't, so it's great to be sharing the stage with you both here today, alongside Dan and Mazen.
Thank you.
Meiltje, I'm going to start with you, please, if you don't mind. You know, you've been a leader in sustainable regional aviation, and you have some really unique insights. But how has Groningen Airport positioned itself as a test bed for sustainable aviation? You know, and how can regional airports accelerate the adoption of these green technologies?
Well, I need to use my mic.
Your mic.
Thank you. Well, nice to be in this panel. Groningen Airport Eelde is the smallest airport in the Netherlands of the big airports. There are, of course, 5 big airports, and Groningen is the smallest one in the northern part of the Netherlands. And we are a regional airport which focus on the sustainability, because we are in the Hydrogen Valley, which is the first hydrogen valley of Europe. So we decided to be the first hydrogen valley airport. And this means that with our solar park of 22 megawatt and a lot of solar panels as well, we deliver for 6,600 people in the neighborhood their electricity. So we really want to connect with the neighbor as well. But we're also developing innovations for the aviation industry. So like besides powering our own airport and the region, we also develop the first hydrogen ground power unit on the airports for powering the airplanes. And we're working in several projects with the university, with the institutions for education, and with the industry. So we really try to develop pilots, but also projects for the aviation industry, for airports they can use to become more sustainable.
You mentioned there the hydrogen elements, but electric aviation initiatives as well that you're rolling out. What, if any, financial barriers or regulatory barriers must be addressed to scale these technologies in the coming years?
Well, we are a small airport, and as you know, regional airports have often difficulty in their finance, in their getting enough money to pay all those innovations. And the only solution for us is to work together with other companies, big companies, also smaller companies, and with educational institutions to make sure that together we are capable of developing these products. And of course, after that, we are not a producer of hydrogen ground power units. So we find companies who will do that for us so that we can use them to have a more cheap development at our airport. So being a front runner means that you also have the opportunity to have the things we need to be sustainable. I mean, in 2030 we have to be without emissions on the airport, but it's difficult to do that without help from others and from also the government, because there are a lot of regional governments, but also Brussels, who helps us developing the projects. There's a lot of projects which are subsidized for us. So it's all about connecting with other companies, universities, smart people, smart industries, to develop those products which are not, for some things, do not exist. I mean, sometimes it's really difficult because, the trucks for the fire department, we need them to be on hydrogen, but it's really expensive to have a hydrogen fire truck. So we try to develop it ourselves, use the old one, and transform it to a new one on hydrogen. But it's still difficult because it's very expensive. And some equipment is used only a few times a year, like de-icing equipment. How much time of the year do you use them? Or for the snow, removing the snow equipment. So we have them, and in the northern Netherlands it's also getting warmer and warmer, so we don't need them a lot of times. But we have to have them in 2030 fully electric or fully on hydrogen. So there are some challenges there, exactly, yeah.
Dan, you've been working very hard to strengthen your airport's identity and connection, you know, separating from customer through technology, boots on the ground. You know, tell us a little bit about how you've lived up to the namesake, you know, big name, Muhammad Ali International Airport, eh?
Yeah, greatest of all time. Yeah, it was a mission for at the time, our mayor, Muhammad Ali's from Louisville, and so greatest of all time, everybody knows. It's Pele and Muhammad Ali. I mean, he's iconic, and he really was swagger, brash, thought he was the best. People recognized him being the best, and so having that namesake, we work at that every day, and it starts with customer service. On this technology piece of it, though, with the green energy, one of the things we did, we changed the name, and then we say, how do we live up to this expectation with this? And one of the things we've done, which is not new, but it's not really rapidly endorsed at airports, is geothermal. So we had all our mechanical systems were failing, and well, geothermals, how can we be smarter and better and reduce our carbon footprint? And the geothermal is one of the things we did right off the bat. Was 500 wells, 600 feet deep, and it lasts twice as long, almost no maintenance, and it's on the airfield for space we couldn't use anyway.
You've got, am I right, that's the largest in North America, and it's
Yes.
saving around $400,000 a year.
$400,000 a year, that's just in the utility costs. The maintenance side of it is even a greater savings. So it's something very simple that's been around forever, but it just hasn't really been applied in a way that we are applying it. So it's one of those things where we want to be the first and the best and the greatest at it and live up to that namesake. But the customer service side of it, again, it's everybody has an expectation. A lot of us around baggage claim. We hear a lot about waiting for bags, so we developed technology so we could track, and it's not new now, but when we did it, it was fairly new. It was, when does the plane land? When does it pull up to the jet bridge? When does the jet bridge hook up? When does the first bag hit the baggage claim? And then respond just the old-fashioned way with what I call fixers and fillers. It's people that, when the alarm goes off, they go down, they'll throw bags, they'll talk to customers, they'll do all those things that are going above and beyond the customer experience. And so but it started with technology. Just as the geothermal did, it wasn't viable. We start there, and then we augment that so we can live up to the expectation, not only to our customers, but to the namesake.
Bettina, this is something that you can probably give us lots of insight into as well, about those hyper-personalized experiences that passengers may or may not be expecting, and getting the right balance between tailoring those services while maintaining operational efficiencies. You know, and you're coming from this as, you know, the expectations of a smaller airport to a hub airport.
Exactly. First of all, lovely to be here. The thing is that smaller airports know exactly, without any systems, what their passengers are expecting. Because most of them, you know, some of them choose the airport because of its and the flight, or they choose the flight plan we have to go from our airport to the world. That's something we want to grow even more. And a lot of the technique I see at big hubs, which are necessary for efficiency, for that the passenger really gets the next flight easily, or access to the flights at all is done easily, is a different perspective than what I have at the regional level. For me, at the regional level, they like this, mostly the personalized way of someone is still catering to a check-in counter, people are getting helped. We do also have technology, don't you mind? Because I have guests who like to do everything by themselves, so I have to offer that too. But I have to pay attention that I have not too many ways, because I do not have too many people to support all the systems at the same time. So we recheck again and again and again how advanced we should be. And sometimes less is indeed more to keep up with what my guests need.
Are you seeing less need for that traditional airport experience then, or are you finding a new hybrid that you're having to develop?
It's something we just have to observe, because I see younger people who all of a sudden decide they do not want to use a machine, but they want to have a person doing the job for them. The moment they have a bit more money and they have luggage to drop off, they can do it with the machine, or they go to the check-in counter and have a nice talk. So it depends. Some people need it for their travel experience, to talk with someone else, and some people just say, I know how to do it. I don't need any support. I go my way regardless. So both are valuable customers at ours.
I think, Dan, this is a good opportunity to bring in Good Maps.
Yeah, in fact, Good Maps is out here. They have a display. So I was walking around. I said, hey, Good Maps is here, and I'm going to be talking about them. Good Maps is for the sight impaired, and it is originated in Louisville. But Good Maps is, if you're blind, sight impaired, it is within a half a cane's length of getting you through the entire airport, from the parking garage to the concessions to your gate, and it will guide you. It will tell you about obstacles. Now, we as a facility, we have to map that and work with Good Maps to do that. But when you have that technology, it makes for this autonomous travel. I mean, they don't want to have somebody. They want to be independent, and so that's super critical in Good Maps. I can't say enough great things about them. It started out very small, not a lot of airports, train stations, but it's now in airports. I think they're in 28 airports now. Just in the last 2 years, it's growing like crazy, but it's really effective, and it really does create independence. As it relates to technology, though, and people, everything is, I'm independent. I think a lot of people are independent travelers. That is great, and the technology is great until you have irregular ops or something goes wrong, and then you still need the hand, I call it hand-to-hand combat, the person that can answer the question, help guide them when things don't work as it should. But yeah, Good Maps, I think if there's airports out here that don't have it or haven't looked at it, give them a chance, talk to them, because it really does help the sight impaired travel seamlessly, and it's just great technology, and it works.
Mazen, welcome back.
Thank you.
With that, and we're talking, we were talking earlier about, hydrogen, electricity, how we're, fueling things. But I want to expand a little bit on you. You touched on it earlier about the trains and transport methods and intermodal transport interconnectivity, I should say. You mentioned that the train from the airport, Mecca, Medina. How are people using these new routes, and how is that also enforcing some of the ESG goals that you have in Jeddah?
It's good to be back. Before I answer that question, Jane, I just would like to build on Dan and Bettina point, because since I've been in charge of an airport, my strongest critics come from my sons when they travel. It's like they count for me how many times they intervene with the airport staff, and they tell me, Dad, there is the latest technology. We don't want to intervene with anyone. I can do my self-check-in, I can do my biometrics boarding, etc. So that's tell, yes, there will be a chain shift that's coming. At the same time, in Jeddah Airport, one of the challenges we have is around 30% of our traveler is the first-time traveler. So they come with an expectation. They come very stressed as they get into the terminal. So we need to make sure we take them, sometimes, as Dan said, hands in hands throughout the process. And that's what makes it quite challenging, I will say, to design different process for your passenger profile. Now, at the same time, Terminal 1 in Jeddah Airport was designed to have intermodal connectivity from transport. So we have the terminal, and we have the train, what we call Haramain train. So it's not only a transient. The way we look at it at Jeddah Airport, it's an extended passenger experience. So the way we look at it, how can we ensure that our passenger experience is enabled from the arrival all the way to Mecca or Medina? It's part of our passenger experience. Now, this train is roughly around 150 trips a day. Last year alone, they served around 9 million. On a yearly average, we estimate they're saving around 80,000 tons of CO2, of emissions. So that's for us. It's the way we look at it. It's improving the passenger experience, it's helping the sustainability, and it's providing a strong infrastructure for the airport, even for future growth.
Meiltje, we've heard there and talking about technology, AI, biometrics. How can airports ensure that the digital transformation is inclusive? As well as that, people want to know it's secure. And how do we gain that trust in the passengers?
Well, it's for the smaller airports, I think you will agree, it's really difficult to have implemented all those new technologies. So, of course, we implement new technologies. But first of all, and you just said it as well, it's very much about the comfort of the passengers. And we have a group of a bit more elderly persons, so they need more assistance. And this is the only way this can be given is by just helping them face to face, giving them the attention they need, and following them in the process. So people sometimes in our process are just helping the passenger during the whole journey from the entrance of the airport, the check-in, etc., the security process until the aircraft, until they are really exactly in the aircraft. And I think we're struggling at the moment, but we are working also with the educational institutions with that. How can we support this process without losing the personal touch and the personal contact we have with the passengers? Because sometimes we're a small airport and nobody gets lost. You cannot lose your way while it's very easy, very simple. So why should we use an app to show everybody how to go, So I think it should be kind of looking at the airport, trying to what's working in the airport, what's working for the passengers, because they're all different. You have the low-cost passengers, you have the young passengers like your son you were just talking about. But we have also the elderly persons, and they are really more, they know the airport. When they come back from their trip, there's a bureau, and they can book their next trip. And what are they asking the lady beyond the desk? They ask them, what's the next flight from Groningen Airport Eelde the next year in May? And then they book that trip. So they really know the airport. They're really regular customers. So we have a completely different proposition to our customers. We need a different proposition to our customers than a big airport like Schiphol or other airports,
Bettina, would you agree with all of that? I mean, and in terms of that customer expectation, like you say, the biometrics, the AI, the data that's gathered, are you finding that people are questioning that level of trust, or are they?
First of all, I completely agree with my friendly neighbor here, because not all technology is always making sense if you don't need it. Mm-hmm. If you don't need it, it's only expensive and has no value for you. So we should focus on what has value. So I don't mind using artificial intelligence to improve things at my airport. I mean, you can't do anything today without AI, so it would be stupid of me to say I don't want it. It's already in my mobile phone, it's already in my computer, it's already everywhere in the systems I buy from partners. So yes, and we will do more with it, that's clearly yes. In regard to biometrics, at the moment I have no need, really. I know where my passenger is. Maybe I can calculate a bit better, and I know then 192 instead of around 190, but that's about what this helps. So I must focus on where we can really improve, how to support the guests on their journey, not to lose the personal touch, but give them the digital freedom to do things by themselves. And a lot of is then focused, technique-wise, is to enhance the performance of my airline customers who want to have a punctual turnaround, who wants to have their door open at the right time and the doors closed at the right time and everything is running smoothly without any hiccups. So yes, there are fields we have to invest in. There are fields which I watch, which I think is nice to observe at other airports, and I go home and I tell me how I'm lucky that I don't have the headache of implementing this.
I think we have what we call the next most broken thing for this technology and the upgrades. So it's what is not working. I mean, we can't do it all. I'm not sure the size. We're about 4.6 million passengers. So we want to have technology where it makes the most sense to improve our customers' experience. And so we do that with the baggage claim. We're also now doing a test for what we found is sometimes the baggage handling, the private companies, they don't have enough staff or they're not showing up at the gate on time. So we're going to put artificial intelligence cameras, and it will report and it will talk about immediately saying, okay, the bag cart didn't show up on time, and it'll send an alarm and we'll be able to respond to that. But it'll also say, did we have 2 wing walkers? Did they truck the airplane correctly? So every event we have, we'll have some artificial intelligence will be creating ways to improve that environment along the way. So that's what we're trying to do is we can't do it all. Where can we implement this technology where it makes most sense today for the customer? And it will evolve. Again, just walking through the exhibit hall, there's so much that, since the last time I've been to one, it's like everything changes and is getting better and quicker and faster. We just can't do it all.
But also, airports are pretty much expected to do more with less, financially, environmentally. How do you define efficiency in a future-ready airport?
So I think the staffing model at U.S. airports in particular is maybe not the most efficient. So we actually have what I call a highly compensated, efficient crew. I'm about half the staff as most airports, but we do things with better procedures, better policies, implement technology when we can. And then again, very sensitive to our airline partners. And in we've talked a lot about air service, but I also have a major partner, UPS Cargo Operations. It's the Louisville, surprisingly, is the busiest cargo airport in North America, 3rd busiest cargo airport in the world. So what are we doing to make that more efficient? We buy better snow removal equipment. So where we had 20 people to clear a runway, we can now do it with 9 because we have the right equipment. More importantly, we can do it twice as fast, so UPS can get that product from Louisville to Dubai or wherever it is with their nonstop flights. And so we think about primarily the efficiencies of everything we do, but primarily on staffing. If I can do it with 150 people, that is better than doing it with 300 people because the rates and charges go up. I charge airlines too much. I can't invest that in the new technology if I'm spending it in a way that's not efficient. So it's really everything we do is it adding value? Is it making us better? Is the technology making us better? Because my partners, UPS, the airlines, they're kind of counting on us to do the right things.
Mazen, I'm going to lead on from something Bettina was talking about earlier, in that not everything that is used in other airports might be applicable to all others. But if we talk about industry alignment and reapplying is probably the nicer way to put it, what can we learn from each other?
I think today it's the words like you just asked Dan, what's the efficiencies and how we measure it. I think today these are important questions because what my colleagues here said, today they have a certain focus on a certain passenger experience. But this focus will shift as the throughput will increase. And I will give an example. When I first joined the job, our highest number of total per day was 120. Now we're running average 160,000 a day. Now with the highest is 180,000. So once you go above 50 million passenger, the requirement of the technology, it's not good to have, it's must have. Because that's how it's gonna help you to increase productivity. So I think you move away from the focus of passenger experience more towards increasing efficiencies and the process. The key challenge, though, is how do you still keep the passenger experience as a focus as you introduced more technology? The example I gave of my kids, I mean, as long as he don't talk to no one, that's his best experience. Others is not the case. So I think that's the dilemma we're trying to sort here. However, back to your question, Jane, I think today as an industry, we need to look what's the standard, what do we mean by efficiencies, and how different stakeholders play a role in changing these benchmarking numbers. I think there is an opportunity there. We could learn from Muhammad Ali or other airports, but then how can we reapply and what does it mean for other airports?
You're coming as well. You previously worked in a couple of other industries. So what have you brought from that to this role within aviation?
Now when I first came in and a regular problem, everybody were short of staff, we need more people, we need more equipment, we need more budget. My first question is always, what's the benchmark? How many staff per head count? How many equipment we have per head count? How many capex or opex per square meter, etc. So I think these measures are important measures to tell you whether you are off track or on track. Sometimes strategically, you would like to invest more, you would like to do more, just to make sure you match the standard, you match the expectation, you match the requirement. So this is what I will say I'll took away from the previous experience, where I see today this is what we're trying to reapply.
Dan, we've all talked about, the transformational projects that you've all been involved in each of your respective airports. Under your leadership, you've really undergone a major terminal and runway upgrade. Now, this has been going on since 2018?
I started in 2018, and again, back to the next most broken thing. 2018, I said, gosh, we have to start with moving walkways, escalators, elevators, or jet bridges. They have to work. Yeah. That is the minimum level of customer service. And I call it fully depreciated. They were quite old. You couldn't get parts for them anymore. So this billion, somebody was talking to $30 billion. $30 billion in 5 years. Well, we're doing $1 billion in about 8 years. I don't know how you could even imagine manage $30 billion worth of work. But we started on this $1 billion program, again, just fixing the next highest priority. And as we got through it, we started realizing we can do a lot of really great stuff here. And with the geothermal and the good maps and technology, replacing everything that's broken, thinking about our cost, the benchmarking, our cost per plane passenger, we look at all that and say, how much can we afford to do? Do we have capacity to do this $1 billion program? And we do. One of the things I also heard from another speaker earlier today was what goes wrong. Benchmarking isn't necessarily about cost.
Your phrase is, what is the next most broken thing? Is that you who coined that phrase?
I don't know if I coined it, but I say it all the time. What's the next most broken thing? But I was flying through Atlanta a few years ago, and the power outage happened. I guess it was probably 2017, 2018. And as an airport director, you start thinking, well, what's my power? Where's my pinch point? Where's my bottleneck? And as I was stuck in the airport for almost 8 hours trying to get out, to get to the train, to get downtown, I'm like, what's my grid look like? What's my power outage? And so we are right now, as part of this $1 billion program, in Louisville, we're building the microgrid. We're going to have generators. We'll be able to operate the entire airport for 72 hours. It'll have batteries, so we'll improve efficiency. We turn all our power on at 4 a.m. It'll hit the battery, so it'll help our utility bill. It's got solar, so if things go bad, it's backup generator, microgrid, 3 generators, and it's again, it came from that experience. Again, you don't want to think about benchmarking a horrible experience, but a lot of times innovation, great things come out of that, and so that really started me thinking about what are we doing at our airport that can make sure we avoid that pinch point, that bottleneck down the line.
We've got about 2 minutes for each of you on my final question, just so you can bear in mind the time scale we're working to. But looking ahead to 2030, Bettina, I'm going to start with you. What does a fully tailored, efficient, green and digital airport look like to you?
Half of my airport will be there. The other half, you will have to wait till 33. Now we are reconstructing the terminal structure, which dates back to the 60s, which is a headache to manage today, and we're going to change that. So we will start with the construction in 27, and we do like the operation at the open heart. We will do everything while we are still running the airport. That will be a huge challenge for me. In regard to sustainability, it's a step-by-step approach we decided upon many years ago. We are fully on track. I'm very happy with my people for the many good ideas they have implemented already, and they come up daily with new ones. So I'm pretty confident that we reach our target in 2040. Other than that, I hope people are sticking to us since we want to fly from Salzburg, because it's nice, it's familiar to us, we're taken care of, and it has enough technology for even your son, I'm sure of it.
I'll tell him next time.
Thank you, Meiltje.
Well, I think that we will be in 2030 a really hydrogen valley airport. This includes the solar park, which is already in place, but also developing a hydrogen station for fueling station for aircraft, which will be there in time. But they need to be in place in time for the aircraft to be there. Otherwise, we're out of business if we don't have the hydrogen and the electric charging for the aircraft. So all of that should be in place, and all the equipment that we control ourselves should be electric or on hydrogen. So no CO2 or other climate affecting stuff will be there. So, and we will be growing a bit more because of the scarce capacity in the Netherlands. In all of Europe, I think, people are still flying more and more and more, and we will be there as a smaller airport to be in place in a sustainable way. And I think it's the only way to have a license to operate in that year, because otherwise all the younger people, like your son and my daughters, do not want to fly anymore because they find it not acceptable. So we need to make those steps at our airport. And it's difficult, especially, I wanted to mention this as well, because of all the regulations we're imposed on from Europe, from our own country, about labor regulations, but also regulations on cybersecurity, which is for small airports also very difficult, and big airports, I think, the same. Costs a lot of money, but it has to be in place because of all the geopolitical development as well. So we have a big challenge, but we have like a dot on the horizon in 2030. We want, and will be the Hydrogen Valley Airport, and everything will be without emissions.
Fantastic. Dan?
So 2030 is going to be here before we know it. 5 years and a lot of investment in our facilities. I think 2030 for us we are starting on a path to carbon neutrality by 2050, which is behind everybody else, but kind of American ways.
Do you think yours is more realistic as a pinpoint?
I think 2050. I think for us 2050 probably is even a challenge, but
But I
There's,
think, if I may add on that, I think smaller airports are easier to start because everything starts small. So the first electric aircraft will be on smaller airports because it's easier to accept them, to help them to be there. So I think it's more difficult for a big airport to be in 2030 completely without emissions. So.
It really does take an investment from outside sources. The airports have limited resources to do this, so it takes everybody that wants to do it. So for us, 2030, we'll fully integrate our geothermal. We'll finish up quite a bit of our terminal program will be done by 2030. So technology, speaking, not have to talk to anybody going through concessions where it's fully automated. We're starting to see that more and more now where, again, you can come through the terminal and not talk to anybody because I get my bottle of water, my candy bar, I put it down, I pay, everything's automated. We'll see that. Wayfinding is another area where we think we will make continuous improvement. Wayfinding can never be good enough. It's always a challenge. Roadway realignments, our checkpoint, we're going from a 5-lane checkpoint to a brand new 10-lane checkpoint for security. That will have all new technology and be more seamless than it is today. More integration with technology like good maps. I don't know where that next piece is going to come from that, but that's something we're looking at. But 2030 will be far more advanced than we are today, and we're thinking about that with every investment we make between now and 2030.
Thank you. Mazen.
I think I could have the traditional answer, and I'll say focusing on the seamless journey and how can we apply the technology. Now, at the same time, one thing we're sure of, by 2030, technology is going to be different, whether it's existing today or what we're going to apply by 2030. So what we're trying to do is we design in the sustainability practices in every expansion we're doing, in every project we're doing. We're trying to take that early on our design process. So we would like to make sure what's the future of the sustainability? I don't know what it's going to look like, but I tell you, we're open for it. So whatever is going to come up, we're looking for adaptability. How can we apply it? And I'll give you just a quick example for Terminal 1. Terminal 1, when it was early design in I don't know, 2011, today when it was integrated, 2019, it was the first Green Lead certificates terminal in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And it's one of the largest footprint outside of China. So I think people who designed it 2010, they had that vision. And I think today we're trying to have this sustainability practice as part of our DNA in our design. So whatever the future will look like, we're designing it with the sustainability and with the digital transformation.
I think you're all in agreement that you're all ready. Bring it on. Yes? Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this morning. Please put your hands together for our fantastic panelists.
Thank you.